Hello and welcome to the Miniature Painting Podcast. My name is Dan. I am your host for this adventure into the world of painting things that are small. Yes, this usually is a weekly podcast, sometimes every other week, but the last couple weeks I got busy with life and work and the world at large, and we were on delay. So we're back and better than ever with a bunch of topics to talk about for you guys. One thing, I knew this was going to happen. I wanted to do a podcast because a podcast does not involve shooting video. It could. I could film myself sitting in front of a neon LED thing and some potted plants from Amazon. But in general, I would like a podcast, just my voice, like you're sitting in traffic or on the subway or in your basement doing kettlebell exercises, listening to this, expanding your knowledge and appreciation of the world of miniature painting. But I've been getting comments like, well, you talked about glazing. Why don't you make a video showing the glaze? And it's like, my argument is there's already 85,000 GD freaking videos on that on YouTube, all shot on nicer cameras than I want to set up by better painters than me too. So I'm telling you how to do it. Then you got to, it's like swimming, guys. Like you can read a textbook on swimming, but then you got to get in the pool. Okay. I'm the textbook. The pool is miniature paint. It's a stretch metaphor at best. But yeah, I will start posting some videos. I've got some ideas. We've got to start shooting content for the game store anyway. So I will try and do more of those. But I've got ideas for how to do it. And I've been doing a bunch of miniature, printing and painting and everything else, getting ready for our game. We have a bunch more D&D game events and now Warhammer and one-page rule events coming up that I'm making terrain and miniatures for and painting. So I'll get on that, guys. So more video. We're on YouTube. Follow us on the YouTube and the Miniature Painting Podcast, and then on Instagram as well at Mini Painting Podcast, and our website miniaturepaintingpodcast.com, so we can find everything. And while you're doing all those things with your fingers, or maybe your toes, I don't know what your setup is, make sure to go on either Apple Music or iTunes, whatever it's called now, Spotify or Amazon. Leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment, and share the podcast with your friends. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. I just found out last week, among other things, and I was going to do a whole episode last week about it, but then I had to go out of town with my family, and work got crazy, and just all the things in life overwhelming me like a tsunami of responsibilities and sadness. But I've surfed that wave and I'm back. But I just found out last week, I am going to Adepticon. I'm going to Adepticon 2026. It's happening at the end of March, this is the end of February. It's probably videos going up at the beginning of March or episodes going up. So I don't know. It's March, whatever to whatever. I think it's the 25th to the 29th, a Wednesday to a Sunday in March, the last weekend of March. I will be in beautiful Wisconsin, Adepticoning. I've already signed up for a bunch of I got lucky. The two things I really wanted to go to, and this is very, very lame and fanboy, but I really like the stuff that they do. I wanted to go see the live tapings of the Trapped Under Plastic podcast with John and Miniac, and those are sold out. And then tickets for that, they're free, but the spaces were sold out. And I also wanted to go to the Snarlcast to see Vince Venturella and Uncle Adam's live taping of their podcast about tabletop gaming. I also wanted to sign up for one of Vince's paint classes, but is just taken up. They're sold out. Really, basically, the tickets went on sale several months ago, a few months ago. I wasn't planning on going. I didn't think I was going to be able to afford to, or with time and or money to go to Adepticon. And then I kind of got my crap together. I'm like, I got to go to this thing. I've got it. It's the Mecca. I have to be there. No, I had to go there, and I could tie it into a bunch of work stuff and a bunch of work goals I wanted to do for the store and for the hobby stuff in general. So I'm going to go. I'm very excited, but I signed up for a bunch of stuff, and I got in the wait list for a bunch of stuff, and I just found out that I got into a couple of the paint classes I wanted, not the Vince ones, or not Sam Lands either. I wanted to do Vince and Sam Lands really bad, but they're both, they're great. I'm sure they sold out the first, 12 hours the thing was open or quicker. And I think, dude, I think tickets went on sale in November or December, and I bought mine, and I signed up in February. So I missed the deluxe ticket where you get all this free stuff, but I got the regular ticket. I'm just happy to go, and I'm really excited to go. But I signed up for the Snarlcast wait list and the Trapped Under Plastic wait list, and lo and behold, while I was out of town last week, facing and braving a blizzard with my family, my wife surprised us and took she made reservations for me and my son and her for our family to go on a ski trip to Mammoth Mountain. I'm in Southern California. Mammoth Mountain's about 5 hours northeast. It's in Central California. It's the I don't know, not the Sierras, whatever mountains they are, the mountains, there's big mountains. It's great. But it was like, we drove up on a Sunday night and it started snowing late Sunday night, Monday morning. And then it blizzarded for 3 days. Then I had to drive back on Thursday night for an event and to teach a class. So, I drove there, it's about a 5 hour drive there, pretty leisurely. Stop at a Jersey Mike's, maybe go to get some beef jerky at a at a gas station liquor store, get a Starbucks, you're there. But on the way back, it took like 8.5 hours to drive back. And the first 3 hours were just going at like 25 miles an hour there was a blizzard Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday was kind of mellow. It was fun. And then Wednesday was, no, Tuesday snowed hard too, but it was doable. Wednesday was a little bit better. And then Thursday morning when we left, the blizzard was coming at like 10:01 and we left at like 9:27. So I was like not racing down the mountain, but driving down a mountain. Racing, and my heart was racing, my pulse, the adrenaline was pumping, my adrenal glands are maxing out. But I was driving like just, with chains on, coming down the mountain, like 25, 30 mile an hour tops. And my favorite thing, and I know a lot of hobbyist people would laugh at that. Like, oh, you're a coward and a wimp. You live in, Southern California. Oh yeah. If I'm such a wimp, how come I know how to boogie board and you don't? Yeah. Take that, burn. No, we don't have weather down here, but up north we have weather. So, I drive down the mountains real slow. We had chains in the truck or whatever, but I know for a fact I've driven cross country several times. Back in the day, like 15 years ago or more, I did like an online comedy tour where I did stand-up comedy in like 20 or 30 different states. I drove across the country over like a fall into winter, like 3 or 4 times. And I drove through like Colorado and all these gnarly places in really bad weather and crashed my car into a snowbank in Reno, just to watch it die at one point. But my point is, I'm careful in the snow because I know that I'm not a snow person, but and I also don't want to crash. And also when I have my wife, my kid, and my dog in the car, I'm going to be extra careful. But my favorite, coming full circle, my favorite thing in bad weather, and this makes me, I'm not a great person, guys. I'm not a good person. This might make me a little bit of a bad person, but hear me out. My favorite thing, and it's mostly just up in Mammoth because Mammoth Mountain's weird. 20, 30 years ago, back when I was a kid, Mammoth Mountain was like, it was a big snow mountain. You drove to it. It was fun. But skiing and snow stuff in general was much more affordable 20 or 30 years ago. It was like people would ski in jeans. There'd be kids like 16-year-olds smoking cigarettes in line at the thing. It was a more fun. There was rich people. It was kind of like a Caddyshack situation, if you've ever seen that movie, where there was like just regular, like middle to even lower class, regular people that could afford to ski. And then there was rich people that were snobby and like fluorescent ski suits or whatever and really fancy stuff that could, and everyone just kind of coexisted. And sometimes there were fist fights and, slurs thrown about. When it was a little bit gritty, I won't lie to you, but it was a better time. It was not a better time because there was also social injustice and stuff more, but we're right back there now. But my point is now Mammoth, and I don't know, I haven't been to other mountains really, but I know that Mammoth is in the last 10 or 15 years, they leveled a lot of stuff and built all these really, like they built this new village, like this fancy thing with like a fancy hotel and fancy condos built on and all these like kind of fancy, the village part. There's like the old Mammoth, which is like a mile down the road, which like there's smaller stuff where the supermarket is and the tiny movie theater. And then the new Mammoth part with the village, it's very bougie. It's very like everyone at the mountain and in the lobby is in like North Face and above. You know what I mean? Not to say, I would say I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy. I always have been. I always will. If I won the lottery tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to tell because I dress like a 5-year-old, maybe a 5th grader, maybe a 10-year-old on picture day. I'm wearing right now I'm wearing a Warhammer Raccoon Space Marine t-shirt and a pair of like Levi cords. I think I got on Amazon. I'm not a fancy lad at all. So I'm saying when I'm shopping for things for like the snow, I'm like, ooh, a North Face jacket. That's $280, whatever it is. That's like the highest end of like what I could ever imagine. That is the starting point. Everyone at the mountain is covered in like from North Face to like Armani to like expensive European brands that I'd have to Google to like, full jewelry and all just everything that you can brand and gleaming like $7,000 platinum carbon fiber snowboards and skis and whatnot. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. I don't want to say it's intimidating, but it's a little bit intimidating. I know I'm from Southern California and people, I think I'm from a pretty middle upper class area because it's we live in like by the beach, so it's kind of expensive here, and I'm not real. I think you should, in our society, you should try and make as much money as you can and do good and whatever. But there's a level where I think if you go above that, you're just showing off. But bunch of kind of bougie, rich show off people. It gave very Caddyshack like country club vibes up there, and it was very I like regular people. I run a hobby store and I do Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer events, and I hang out with like really neat, really fun, really smart, really nerdy, kind of awkward people who are very happy. Some of them are like, some of them are just regular. Some of them, I know we have a lot of people like our computer programmers or other things that come to our events that like make good money, but everyone's t-shirt and jeans. And then once a year we have like Dungeon Palooza and everyone wears their fanciest cape or whatever. But so that's just a preface to this part of the story. Okay, right back to it. I'm a bad person. I don't need to argue my case here, but my favorite thing is every car up there at the mountains is like a $130,000 Sprinter van, or like, or a Mercedes or SUV or a Porsche SUV or the most decked out Range Rover or lifted truck, or all these fancy people in their fancy cars. My favorite thing is when you're driving in the snow, especially in the blizzard, because it's happened a few times to me, is when you're especially coming back down the mountain trying to leave, because you're leaving, you're going home. Like I was driving home. I had budgeted 10 hours to drive home because I knew it was going to take so long, because I had to run a Dungeons and Dragons event in Anaheim, home of the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, whatever they're called now, former team of Shohei Ohtani. I had to run a D&D event at Anaheim and be there at 6:00. So I was like, I 7 the latest I could get there, but I wanted to get there by 6:30. So I'm driving to an event. I'm driving to work from the mountains. But I'm not driving like a maniac. I'm driving a little bit slow, but I know the first part of the mountain we were driving, they hadn't plowed the road going down. They'd only plowed it going up since the snow of the night before. So we're literally driving the first, 2 hours on 3 or 4 inches solid of snow, not even road. So, and I had chains in the truck, but again, you slide and then you brake too much or too little or whatever, and you fall off the road. And it's not like you're going to drive off a cliff, most likely, but you are going to drive into a snowbank that has, those metal railings. You're going to do like $3,000 to $9,000 body damage to your car. I don't know how fancy your car is, but so I'm driving in the mountain slow, and there's 2 lanes, not a 1 lane. I'm on the right lane, going slow. And my favorite thing in the whole world is driving home from the mountains. Not so much too, because that's uphill. It's not as risky, but driving down a mountain anywhere, could be Mammoth Mountain, could be Big Bear, could be wherever you live, could be Mount St. Helens, whatever, is when Mount Rainier. I don't know what mountains are there. When you're driving, like, let's say 25 or 30, maybe you're pushing, you're going 35 down the mountain, but if you're driving safe and there's 2 lanes, there's plenty of room to go around, and people make it a point to like blaze up and drive right on your ass, cut over at the last minute, and then go around you. And they're going like at least 50, if not 60 in snow, downhill snow conditions on the road. My favorite thing is when that happens, and it's happened this trip. So when someone does that to us, and it was this white, it was a white, like brand new, super nice, those really nice dark metallic rims, 4Runner. And it was a 4Runner, but it had been there, it had been snowing for the last few years. It was covered in snow. The back was all covered in snow. Like the windshield wiper thing, weren't even smart enough to scrape the ice off their windshield before they ran their windshield wipers. So they'd run the back windshield wiper across the back window, but hadn't scraped it. So it was like, they couldn't see out of it. It was like ice, whatever. And it made it probably sound like a terrible sound too when they turned it on. Anyway, this car comes up my ass, blazes around me, and then takes off. And then and it disappears. It's like I'm going 25 to 32 miles an hour top, maybe 30, maybe 35, and then down on the incline. I'm gently putting the brakes on a little bit, slow it down. And lo and behold, like 10, 15 minutes later, we're still, because it's like I said, the first 3 hours of the drive sucked because we're in snow. The first 2 hours were snow really slow. And the third hour was like, we took the chains off because it was scrape snow, but it was still snow and icy, and it was a little sketchy. It was still, man, I was going like 45 and it's still maybe 50 at some points and not feeling great about it. But anyway, like 10 or 15 minutes later, so this car blazes around us, and 10 or 15 minutes later, sure as crap, there is the bumper of the brand new tricked out white Toyota 4Runner on the road, and about 50 feet in front of it is the Toyota 4Runner, missing the bumper with some other front grill, like the lights broken out or whatever, the front and the hood crunched up a little bit. And then the car in front of it is the black Chevy tough guy truck with a metal bumper that is just, it's bent in a little bit, but you can tell like the front of the 4Runner is all like, maybe it's carbon fiber and airplane space technology stuff, but it's like, it's all plastic and stuff. Like I drive a Kia EV9. It's the same. It's plastic too. I'm not knocking anyone's car. but like it had rammed it and it buckled the whole foot and ripped the whole thing and ripped the bumper off. And then long story short, this idiot had sped around me and I'm driving on 3 or 4 inches of snow, which he shouldn't be doing, no chains, back window all ice. And he must have cut a corner or done something too much and ran right into the back of a Toyota. And they were there with the CHP guy, peeling their shit off the road and just whatever. I felt it was so sad. It was here's the thing. Here's why I'm not a great person, but I'm not an awful person. I look and I make sure that everyone looks like they're okay. Like the people in the Forerunner, they're fine. They're all up and walk around. No one's in a stretcher. There's no blood on the highway, and I mean, it's cold outside, so they're probably getting kind of cold. And then the people in the truck are okay. No one's holding their neck and whatever, and no one's getting hurt. And the police are there, and they're going to take care of it and tow the cars away, whatever. But is it satisfying to see the comeuppance of somebody driving like a jerk who's endangering other people's lives and possibly squirrels if they drive off the road and land on top of a nest of them, or rabbits or any type of snowland creatures. But man, that was a satisfying. That was just like, yeah, take that, karma police, table for 2. What a good time. What a petty little man I am to bring up that story, by the way. But anyway, that was it. And then we drove home without incident. I made it to my event, and I taught painting classes last weekend because Grant, the kid who usually teaches Friday and Saturday, flaked out. It's like, so mad, so angry. But then I like teaching the classes, so it was fun. Last episode, did we talk about glazing or sponging? I think we did. And anyway, this last episode of the episode before, I talked about doing the sponging technique for particularly for painting space marines and stuff like that. And I put links in the description and on the YouTube description for the video and on the website for the episode of a couple of videos that I liked for that. So I was like, you know what, because I'm getting nagged and bothered and pestered by you people to make video content, which I don't want to make. I'm like, oh crap, I got to actually. So when I want to make, like for videos that I want to make, I'm like, well, I don't want to do it on camera first time. Because some of the stuff, like I do a lot of stuff, but I paint terrain. I paint D&D crap. I paint Warhammer crap. I base things. I make stuff. I 3D print. I'm doing I do functional 3D printing. I'm doing a lot of stuff, guys. Notice I don't say that I do any of it well, because I don't, but I still do a lot of stuff. The word's dilettante, but either way, I digress. I'm like, I got to figure out a work, like basically with anything you're going to do on video or anything in life, you got to figure out a workflow, right? Like if you're going to paint an army, like you're going to paint 10 intercessors or a kill team, whatever, you have one figure be like your test model for your paint scheme for the paint, what you're going to do. And then usually take the other 9 or 10 or whatever are, put them on thing and then batch paint, the same technique. You got to figure out the technique. So for that, I'm like, well, I got to do this. And I had some prints and some pretty good Space Marine and Terminator proxies that we're going to use for some of our one-page rules events. They're not exactly like Warhammer stuff, but they're like the Warhammer adjacent where I can practice. So then when I go paint real Warhammer stuff, I don't ruin it. That's why I like 3D printing. It's like, I don't need I could 3D print the best proxy models of every army and everything in Warhammer in the world. I'm still going to buy the real Warhammer stuff and build the real Warhammer stuff because I'm glutton for punishment. And, I like it. It's a hobby or whatever. And it is what it is. But I like to do some testing as well. So I've been testing out the sponges. When I first started doing the sponge stuff, and I tried it like 2 or 3 years ago, and I first saw it online, I got the ones at the dollar store that were like egg. They're like the size of an egg, like the pink egg ones they sell. They have them at Target or CVS, but now Target and CVS, like all their stuff is like their makeup brushes. They're all expensive now because they know that people like need them and want them, and inflation and the world being on fire doesn't help either. But I got egg ones. I got a pack of like 24 on Amazon for cheap because they're like, it's like $15 for like 8 at the store, but like I got like a pack of like 20 for like $12 on Amazon. But they're egg size is what I'm saying. So they're big. So they don't fit in nooks and crannies. And a lot of the YouTubers that first did it when I first saw this trend a few years ago, and then recently are using the big egg. And what they'll do is like, well, it doesn't fit under the arms and stuff. So they'll cut the egg off. They'll cut a corner off and kind of go in between, which works perfectly fine. But then also there is a whole nother genre of that egg. There's not a genre, but another size. There's another size of egg that's an egg that is literally the size of like, those Easter eggs, not the Cadbury eggs, because like the Cadbury eggs are the size of an egg, like Easter candy, like that. No, those Easter egg, you get them in Easter baskets, like from your grandma or whatever, of like the chocolate Easter eggs that are little. They're like the size of an oblong, like an egg-shaped gumball, like that, like the size of like your thumb above the knuckle, basically. Those were killer. I got some of those on like Amazon for like Amazon discount or whatever. And I got a box of like 50 for like, I don't know, like $15 or whatever it is. Whatever it was now, it was during the holidays, like a flash Black Friday or Black Thursday or Cyber Monday sale or whatever. But I got a bunch of them for home, and I'll use them up at the store as well. And I'll use them in classes. But I got those. And I started messing around with those things over the weekend to do some test footage to see what that's going to look like to make a video on. And dude, they work good. I haven't done one in a while. Like when I first saw, like a few years ago, I tried it out and did it. And I've used the sponges before for other stuff, but those round little egg sponges, like that, no joke, you can do some stuff with those for like a Space Marine or a Terminator or something with armor. Long story short, I mean, I shot some test video, and I might put the video over like for these episodes for the podcast. I usually I have a old iPhone over my painting desk. What I do is whenever I'm building something, like gluing stuff together or painting, I turn the camera on. I get like anywhere from 30 to like 3 hours of footage at a time. And then when I upload these episodes, instead of talking into a camera, which I'm just not, when I get guests someday, maybe I'll do that. But like, I feel like this is like kind of like the Hands channel, you know, a podcast. I just want to show this stuff and talk about the stuff. It's not necessarily about me. That might change because people might bug to have me like talk to other people and not just have my hands doing something not related to what we're talking about on the screen on the YouTube channel. But podcast is good, less work. Like don't have to make test videos or I don't record for an hour to test what I'm going to sound like and then record. I just jump in there and just, you know, fumble my way through, you know, 40 to 71 minutes of nonsense that you hopefully will listen to and or enjoy. But anyway, the little Easter egg, dude, it is sick. And I'll make a video, but the technique, basically, you can dip it in your water cup. I just ran it into the sink and I squeeze it and totally saturate water. Then I squeeze all the water out, as much water as I can. It's still damp because it's a sponge, it's wet, right? But I would squeeze all the water out. And then I used 3 different brands. I used Vallejo, the new formulation, or no, even old, Ultramarines Blue. I used new and old Vallejo. Model color. I used Fanatic paints, the new Army Painter Fanatic paints. I used a P3, the new P3. I used a P3 color, and I used 1 or 2 of the my favorite, the Ionic. It's Ammo MIG Ionic paints or whatever. I used those. I didn't even put them on a wet palette. I just dropped them into like the little circle palette, you know, like a plastic palette, like anything flat. Dropped them in there and just pushed the egg onto them. And dude, I'm telling you, basically I had some Space Marines, some proxy Space Marines printed out, right? And I primed them all just matte black, just Vallejo matte black, but just, you know, completely black. And I went in with that little egg, and dude, you can lay down a solid base coat on some Space Marines in no time, like no time. I have these Terminators I'm working on. I want to do like I don't know if I'm going to make them Raptors per se, but I like that Raptor color for the faction or whatever they're called for Space Marines, like that army, like it's like an army green, like an olive drab army green. I think I'm using Cayman green from Vallejo for it, but I did one on a Terminator, and I base coated a Terminator with just a brush, and it takes forever because I want the paint to go on thin. I don't want to mess with details, but it's like 2-3 coats of this stuff and then 4 coats in certain places where it's not looking as good and the shoulders are kind of wonky. So I had to hit those a couple more times, probably 5 or 6 coats on the shoulders to make them as smooth as I wanted. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot. It was so much that I'm like, you know what? Do I really want it? Because I was going to make like a 10 squad thing of Terminators, these guys, like a 10 units, like 2 squads or whatever. I'm like, do I really want to base coat this like this with a brush? And I'm like, no. So I fired up the airbrush, and I primed and then base coated like the other 9 in like no time. And like, you know, I don't know how many, like whatever it takes to prime them, and then basically whatever it takes to prime them times 2 to put the green on, and it looks just as good, if not better, than the ones that I brush painted for 20 minutes, you know, or the one I brush painted for 20 minutes cumulatively if you added it up. But I'm telling you, man, with this egg, you prime it black and you come in with that egg, and here's what the egg gives you that the airbrush doesn't give you. Like I said, you don't want it too wet because you don't want the paint to be running. You want the paint to soak in and come off, and you don't want to, you can vary your pressure, too much pressure. But hitting that thing with that egg, dude, you can do a mean base coat real quick. Like you can get your base coat down. Like, I don't know if you're using McCrag or Ultramarine or whatever your preferred base coat is, or even you're going a darker one, like your shadow color and then coming up. But I primed them black, and then I hit them with a base coat. I was real careful. The first one I did was Ultramarine Blue. I was careful and slower on that, but dude, I hit that one up. The base coat is sick. It's a nice solid blue, but I didn't push too hard and I didn't rush. So I left all the recesses pretty much are still the black showing through. And even some of the most of the rubber ribbing, under the butt cheeks and under the arms and stuff like that is still there. The only place I couldn't get because of the pose in the model was like the edge under the backpack, the inside of one of the arms up high up, like almost up in the shoulder, almost underneath the shoulder pauldron or shoulder pad or whatever. And like a little bit under like the shoulder of one or the above on the shoulder pad of one on the back. But I'm telling you, you get a paintbrush, you can fix those 3 areas in like 2 minutes, and then you're basically done. It looks so good. And then just for a base coat, if you're going to brush, if you're going to wet blend in or glaze in or do any type of edge highlight and stuff, that goes into brush. But like just to get down the base coat really quick, if you don't have an airbrush and you want to lay down some sweet ass base coats for your Space Marines, hit that thing with the mini egg, dude. It is not a joke. It is dope. The Marine Ultramarine Blue worked really good. A dark green, whatever you're using, forest green, whatever you use for Dark Angels worked really good. The bright green, I did a brighter green for that, worked really good. Red, I started off like a too bright of a red. I think I started off as scarlet red or vermilion, and then I dropped down to another more like a dragon red or something like that. The scarlet red, the brighter reds went on good, but they were like the black primer did show through. That would probably be a 3 or 4, coat thing to do. But I got halfway or a third of the way through the red with the too brighter red. I jumped to the middle red, like the dragon red or whatever I used, and that was like 1 coat was pretty good and 2 coats was sick, and it did it in no time. Also, the way the paint is laid down, if you properly dry out your sponge, and squeeze it out your sponge egg all the way, and put the paint in without unthin paint, because the moisture from the sponge kind of like mixes the paint for you. The way it goes on is it dries so fast because there's not a lot of it's the moisture of the paint and the sponge, but it just feels like the sponge leaves the paint on there, but it doesn't leave too much water. So you're dry. Like by the time you hit the front, you go do the back, you come back, the front is dry to the touch. It's not shiny, and you hit that thing again. So you're basically front back, and you're done. With yellows, I don't know. I think with the yellow, I would go with the thickest, most the gnarliest yellow I had. Either I want to say what is it? Is it demon yellow or flame yellow? Demon flame yellow? Whatever the yellow is, the pretty yellow, candle yellow from the new Fanatic line, I would hit with yellow from a really super saturated paint like Chimera, like a Chimera yellow. You could probably do, or I don't know. Maybe start with Averland Sunset and then work your way up to like the other yellows that you're going to use for Warhammer. Yellow might be harder is what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, blue like a dream, the camo green, Cayman green like a dream, black or gray. I did a gray one too because I want to do like a shark Space Marine Army a tester that turned out awesome. So green, blue, gray, dark, green, dark, those are killer. And then red is just like to pick a middle red and then highlight on top of that. Like I said, just straight like dragon red, like a middle, like red. Just don't do like crazy vermilion or scarlet or bloody red right out of the gate unless you want to do more coats. And then yellow, I haven't done yet. I honestly, I did 5 of them, or I did 6. I did a pink one. I did magenta, and then I did pink on top of magenta for a chaos marine that I had, or a noise marine that I had. And I'd done 6, and I was getting late, and I kind of wimped out, and I didn't do the yellow, but I'll mess around with yellow. I'm either going to do, there's a couple ways to go. I think I got black prime and I got gray prime one. I'll try a black prime one. If that doesn't work out, I'll do a gray primed one, and it's a light gray. It's like a Vallejo model color primer gray. I'll do that with the yellow, and then with that, I'll probably have to either oil wash or panel line with oil wash to like get the black in the recesses. Because if you don't have a black undercoat, obviously you're not, or a black prime undercoat, you're not going to have black in the recesses. But I'll mess with yellow. I'll quit chickening out. Maybe I'll do yellow. Maybe I'll do a yellow and orange later tonight. I'm recording up at the store right now at Dungeons and Dice Games because at nighttime we're closed, and the dance studio next door finally shut down, so I couldn't so I could record. Oh, the dance studio is the bane of my existence. Our store is next door. We have two spaces. We have a game store, Dungeon and Dice Games, and then we have a space next door called Secret Karate Headquarters. Secret Karate Headquarters and the store used to both be, one was a comedy for stand-up and improv comedy classes, like a classroom area, and then the next door, like a dance studio basically, but for sad talking. And then the next door was a performance space, like 30, 40 seat, like a little miniature, like strip mall, black box theater. We don't, just whatever, real small. But the store, Dungeons and Dice, butts up next to the dance studio. The dance studio didn't want us to move in because they thought that us doing comedy and improv was going to compete with their children's dance studio classes, which it didn't. And then when we switched over completely to the game store, like about a year and a half ago, they just, we used to have not like once a month, sometimes twice a month, we'd have a craft fair. We do like a free mini day in the store, and then like the parking lot, which is empty. It is empty on Sundays. All the businesses are closed. The dance studio is only open like 2 months a year anyway, because it's like, I think some rich lady that owns it or runs it. She only does it for like the High School Musical in the fall and in the spring. I don't know. Maybe she did it for her kids someday, but now she's just old and she's mean and I hate her. Long story short, we did the craft fair twice a month. It really helped us help some of our people in the so-called D&D club that were vendors and makers get to try out and do a craft fair that was cheap and affordable and fun. They had a lot of people come through. Basically, she called last month or a month and a half ago and narked on us and got it banned. She complained to our landlord that it was hurting her parking or her business, which it wasn't. And then she got it kicked out. So we don't get to do the craft fair anymore, which sucks. And then, like I said, I come up here in the evenings, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night after I've had dinner. My family and my wife and kid they're actually watching a movie on Amazon. They're watching Vacation. I know, because I got a notification because they bought it for $5. It wasn't on streaming. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to buy a movie for $5, just spend the extra $5, buy it for 10 and buy it in UHD so we can watch it again. You Barney's. Also, is like National Lampoon's Vacation. I have that movie on DVD and or VHS, possibly Laserdisc somewhere at the warehouse or in our storage. So I don't know why they're wasting money, but anyway, I digress. Anyway, I came out to record tonight and they had a dance studio. The dance studio had like a practice or rehearsal or something going on. They blare like piano music and dance music, but not like dance music like Paula Abdul, Forever Your Girl. I mean, like old show tunes and stuff like that from musicals through the wall. And it's so freaking annoying. And it makes it like impossible to record stuff. So much so that I'm trying to set up a recording thing at my hobby desk at home. I finally figured out how to do it without it being too echoey, but I can't ever get excited to be loud at night because our next door neighbors have a baby, and I don't want to be some idiot that's like at 11:30 at night yelling in my office like, oh, and then when you paint the guy, like going nuts and waking their baby up. Like, what are you doing, idiot? And I'm like, I'm doing important stuff. I'm making a podcast about miniature painting. How dare you? That doesn't sound good in a courtroom at 8 a.m. I'll tell you that much. So, and our neighbors are really nice too. I don't bum them out. Anyway, so I go in there to record today and they're blaring the music like 9 o'clock. So because both the game store and Secret Karate we used to have live comedy shows and classes in them, they're both rigged for sound. They both have 2 really big speakers mounted in the ceiling. They're like the kind of speakers that you could use for a nightclub or like a music venue. They're not, I mean, there's only 2 of them. There's one on each side, but they're loud. So when we switch the store over, the part of the half of the store that they're in over at Dungeon and Dice is our classroom anyway. So it's great. So we can play like music in classrooms or piping music from the TV when we do movie nights and stuff like that, whatever. But it's also hooked up to a cheap iPad that, has Spotify. So basically every time this happens and I come to record and it's like past like 9 o'clock, which I find annoying, I go to Spotify, I search for like usually Slayer, the 80s/90s, satanic heavy metal group. And I doubt their logo is a pentagram and stuff like that. But I after 30, are you really satanic? They're all older now. A couple of them have passed away, but you can't be 42 and still be, praising the Dark Lord. You're just a sweet ass guitar player that found a good hook, But I find Slayer and I go, on Spotify, when you hold down on an artist or a song and it can say, go to the radio station for that person. I basically make a radio station for Slayer. Then I turn the audio system up way loud. And then I lock the door and turn off the lights and I walk over because our building, it's dance studio, Dungeon Dice Games, a dog grooming place that closes at 6 that isn't open every day, and then Secret Karate. So I'm 2 buildings over. plenty far away enough. And also it doesn't, our building is pretty insulated on the other side, the back wall. So there's apartments across the parking lot. Like, so I don't want to bum anyone out playing loud music. You can't hear it from the back parking lot outside, but you can definitely hear it through that wall. So I blare Slayer, I leave, and then I come over here and record. I don't like to record over here as much because it's, this is where we have this is where we hold our one shots and other like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons or tournaments and live events and movie screenings and stuff like that. But there's not as much stuff, like all the hobby stuff and all the product, like all the stuff on, the display shelves is next door. So it doesn't visually, it's not as inspiring to record a podcast at, but they are hopefully done by now, but they are listening to Slayer through the walls, whether they like it or not. So yeah, this podcast could just be called, Hey, Being Petty with Dan, because apparently I want people to die in the snow that pass me dangerously. And I've got it out for this 63-year-old dance school, peddler, person in charge, whatever the word escapes me because the anger flows so strong. All right, let's get through the podcast real quick. I got a couple things to cover that aren't as dumb as what I just talked about. But yeah, the mini sponges, I'll put a link in the show notes and in the description for the video and whatever, and on the website, because those mini sponges are the bomb. Highly recommend. If you don't have airbrush, you want to base coat some Space Marines real fast, and probably other types of miniatures of those shapes and sizes, bang it out. It feels good. It's good. Real quick, I want to talk about something. It's near and dear to my heart. I love putting washes on stuff. Not everything, but I do a lot of terrain work. I make a lot of terrain for our tournaments and our events, and we teach a lot of beginners classes, so we use a lot of wash, mostly black wash, flesh wash, and then the odd umber or soft tone, brown wash. And but it's so funny because students, like, we had a lady on Friday night. She's in the paint class, and she's trying to paint this thing. It's had a lot of green in it. It's like a cloak, or not a cloak, but it wasn't a cloak. So cloaks are kind of iffy. It was like something with rippled, like a rippled cloak or a surface of skin or something that was green, right? And she wanted, I'll remember it at the end of the story, I'm sure, but she wanted to know if we had a wash that, like, do we have a green wash? And I'm like, we did. We have a full set of Army Painter, a lot of Vallejo, some Monument, some huge miniatures. We have like 6 or 7 Reaper. We have like 6 or 7 like kits of like different paints. Like, there's, when you come over on paint nights, there's at least 300 colors to choose from, all different brands. We have all different washes. We have flesh wash and dark wash and brown wash and light wash, usually a red wash, a green wash, purple. But sometimes they get used up, and I'm like, oh man, it's a pain in my ass, because then I got to go pull. I don't like pulling from stuff from stock from our paint rack, from like our Army Painter paint rack, let's say, to fill stuff for class, because then when we sell out of it, I've got to place an order. To place an order to do restocks, you have to do a minimum. It used to be cheaper, but I think a minimum to get free shipping from the local warehouse in California is like $700. So if I sell out, on $20 worth of paint or wash, I got to spend $700 to get it shipped to me without getting, losing money on shipping. So it's part of being cheap and running a small business, and also not want to waste money. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I go, we don't have a green wash. I looked, I wouldn't have one. So I pulled one off the shelf, and I go, here, use this one. And I just donated from the store the green wash to the paint class. It's fine. It is what it is, right? Happy to help. But I forgot, and what I should have done, because I bought a bunch of it extra because I recommended it to so many people. When War Paints came out with their Fanatic, their new line, the new formulation a year or two ago, they started selling a thing in the red cap. It's like their effects paints, like their washes and stuff. They started selling wash medium. Maybe they took a note, because I think Monument Hobbies was the first one that I met. They sell Monument Hobbies has Noosh, which is a thing that's kind of like it's an oil wash for acrylics and not oil that just washes off with the sponge and water. But before that, they had a glaze and wash medium. It's kind of both. I think it's thick though. It's like a thick white thing. It's to make regular paint, to turn it into a wash or a glaze. Basically glaze, if you do 1 to 3 drops, it's a glaze. You do 1 to 7 drops and it's a wash, or whatever the thing, more to thin it out for a wash. But it's kind of thick. It's kind of thick and gloopy, and then as it dries, it goes through. But it's cool. But I'm having a feeling Army Painter was inspired by that, because Army Painter makes this, and they make a wash medium. And I do this when I teach classes. I take out, because we have a full in the store. Our first paint rack we bought, and the main one is the Fanatic rack, because they have so many colors, and it's just so ubiquitous, and it's easy to get. Army Painter, dude, I would love to carry P3. I would love to carry the full rack. I would love to carry a full rack of what's the other one I like? Ionic or Ammo MiG. I would love to carry like all these, like Duncan, two thin coats, dude. All these European based, and and hear me out. Vallejo and Army Painter are European based as well, but they've been around so long. They have the best distribution. We went with Army Painter because it's the easiest to get Army Painter and get Army Painter restocks out of any brand. that there is, especially in a pandemic. It was hard to get in Vallejo, but like, so we carry all of the Army Painter stuff because it's easy to get, and they've always been good to us as a company, and I like them, and I like Adam, and you know, their guy. I don't know what his title is, probably marketing VP now or whatever he is, but like, I like the people there. Okay. You know, like, but Vallejo has been good to us too. So we carry a little bit of everything, but like, we have Army Painter, but Army Painter made a wash medium. And that is what I teach in classes. And that's what I mentioned in like our paint nights as well. When someone's looking for a wash, I'm like, if you buy, I don't know, it's like $4 or $5. Let's say it's $4. If you buy a $4 bottle of this wash medium, you can basically turn any paint that you own or that you buy or that you steal or that you borrow or that you find into a wash. The power of that is amazing. I know that washes are looked down upon and people go, oh, it's like a beginner's type of thing. You shouldn't be doing washes. You should be doing like layering and, you know, all this glazing and all this other crap. But like, dude, we get a majority of our people for paint nights. A majority of our customers do Warhammer. They're buying Warhammer sets and tools and paints and brushes to go Warhammer at home. We have Warhammer paint nights and paint classes, but our bread and butter really, people come in are either painting like D&D, fantasy, sci-fi, or just for fun, you know what I mean? Or bringing in their own miniatures, right? But I show them this stuff because my friend Sierra, he was her boyfriend and now he is her fiance, John. They're both. Sierra's really good. She's a cosplayer and a D&D person and a on-camera personality now. She does everything. She used to volunteer. Now we hire a pair to work some of our events in LA for Dungeons and Dragons and some of our nerd events, right? She also does vendor stuff. She's got a company called Dirty 20 Dice. She sells like dice jewelry and dice stuff. It's really cool. And her fiance is actually, he's a TV writer. He writes for drama shows, like cop shows and like CIA and FBI and stuff like that. He's really, really nice guy. But he also works when he's not working, he'll work at our events too. He did check-in last month at our singles event and really helped me out. He's a good guy. But they came down for a paint night because they live up in LA and we're down in Orange County. And most people from LA don't come to Orange County because they call it like coming behind the orange curtain, because Orange County is kind of you can Google it, but it's kind of a weird, like, it should be fun and beachy, but it's kind of like angry and conservative for no good reason a lot of the time. And people from LA, whether they're conservative or progressive or whatever, they kind of look down on Orange County as being kind of the podunk suburbs. And I was born and raised here. I was born in this city and raised in the city in Huntington Beach. I will, they're probably right. But you know, we have a beach and three Targets, you know, 3 Target stores within, you know, a 5-minute drive and a lot of parking. I don't know. I grew up here. It's all that I know. And I can't live in the snow, obviously, because I would die in a car wreck. But they came one night and I showed John this wash medium and he was like hooked, dude. He's like, I want to buy like 3 bottles of this right now. I think he bought one or I gave him when he took it, but he does miniature painting at home sometimes. And Sierra complains to me about this because he's up till like 4 or 5 in the morning doing this stuff because he's, you know, John's one of those guys like me. Like he gets into something, he gets into it. He's doing it till like the sun comes up like that. And you know, it's like when the first 4 Halo games came out, dude. You know how many times I played Halo on a work night? And then I'm like, oh, I got to go to bed. And I look, and there's birds chirping outside, and the sun's out. I'm like, oh, man, I got to drink some coffee and just feel miserable all day. And that's the same thing when you stay up mini painting. Oh, it hurts so bad, but it hurts so good. I don't mind it at all. But I showed him this wash medium, and I showed him how to use it, and he loves it and uses it on everything. But I really highly recommend the Monument Hobbies. We saw the Army Painter one in the store and on our website. They don't sell the Monument one, but you can get it from Monument anywhere else too. But the Fanatics wash medium, and it works good with Fanatics paints obviously as well. Highly recommend. Get that in instead of buying, you know, a black wash, a brown wash, and a red wash, flesh wash. You can have the whole rainbow of every color you have now as a wash. You'll probably still only use red, black, and brown, but you know you could make a camo green or a purple or a hot pink one if you wanted to, if you want to spice it up. That being said, the other thing I was going to say real quick, like we sell Army Painter paint, some Vallejo paints, and other paints at our store, but like I really feel like this is just a quick shout out, just on a personal level to a faceless, you know, multinational conglomerate company. No, I feel like Vallejo, they reformulated their paints right before, right after, right about the same time as Army Painter did a couple few years ago. And the reformulated Vallejo paints kind of slap, dude. They're pretty good. I mean, I use at home, like I said, we have a lot of Fanatic because we have a store. I have a full kit of Monument, every color Monument paints that you could get. I have the P3 Kickstarter paints. I like those. I have a lot of the iconic paints, the Ammo iconic paints. I like those. But I have my rack because my main paints when I first started, I bought like an Army Painter starter set, but I jumped right into Vallejo. I like Vallejo a lot. So I have racks on the walls to the right of my desk and the right of my computer. We're probably at like 200 Vallejo paints, but like I would say, you know, 106, not maybe not 200, maybe 40, maybe like 90 or 100. Like, but like I want to say like 60 are the old paints, like from model color or game color, and then like 30 or 40 are the newer colors, like the new formulation. And dude, they work really well. The old paints are good too, but like the new formulation was creamier and better and more consistent across the colors. Like I got to give them their props. I'm a real big fan of Army Painter, and I talk up Army Painter to a lot of our students and people that come through our store and to our events. Like, so I'm like, if you're going to start with a paint, buy like a starter set of Army Painter, and then go with Army Painter, get a couple from Army Painter, and shop around, get a couple from everyone, from Army Painter, Vallejo, Reaper, MIG, P3, whatever. What do they have at the stores you go to? Whatever they have at our store, it's fine. But I really feel like Vallejo has gotten lost in the shuffle with all the different new paints that have come out in the last 2 years and the Kickstarters and stuff. And I'm telling you, the Vallejo game color, and I'm sure the model color too, but the new formulation of Vallejo is better than the old one, and it's good and it's creamy. Highly recommend, dude. I mean, I think Army Painter, the new ones are a little more pigmented, I feel like, but like Vallejo is solid. And I just say that because one time, a long time ago, before I was doing a podcast or content or a video or in a game store or whatever, and I was just a regular, I'm still like a regular terrible painter, but before I had a regular terrible painter doing all this stuff, I think of the old Vallejo bottles I didn't like is like out of nowhere, the top will crack. Like I've had it happen so many times. Still, when I teach paint classes, the first thing I teach is like, hey, if you see a bottle of paint, before you shake it, yes, make sure it's closed, but also just feel with your thumb, make sure the top isn't cracked, because there's a blue one at home I shook all over one of my favorite t-shirts a while back because I didn't check. It's probably a 3 or 4 year old bottle of paint that's been sitting on my shelf, and it was an airbrush paint, but I think it was Vallejo, and I went and the top had cracked. But anyway, long story short, when that happened 3 or 4 years, and that happened recently, like in the last 6 months, but like 3 or 4 years ago, the first time I experienced this crack, I went online and and also the old Vallejo nozzles used to crack too, like split down the middle. I went online because I wanted to buy a pack of like a 10 or 20 or 50 pack of the little plastic cap, the little translucent cap that goes inside the Vallejo bottle, and the top cap. And I couldn't find them. I couldn't find the right size. They sell caps and bottles on Amazon, but those are kind of like, white label, whatever labeled, like generic, like medical grade cap stuff. So I emailed Vallejo and I'm like, hey, I got it. Here's a picture of my cap. It broke. I was wondering if there's anywhere, I don't see it on your store online anywhere. Is there any way I could buy like a couple dozen of these caps? I'd be happy to pay whatever, happy to pay shipping. I know you guys are, in Europe or whatever, and I'm in Southern California, but like I really like your stuff, but this happened. And I never got a response, and I was like, oh, like, they probably, dude, maybe the people, because they're in Spain or whatever, maybe the person that's their email is not to speak English, or maybe they're busy or whatever, got lost in the shovel. And then like, I never thought about it. And then within like 2 weeks, like 12 days later, I go to my mailbox, and in the mailbox, there's this little international package. It's like one of those, like a 4x6 bubble, like yellow manila, like yellow colored bubble mailer, right? And it's stuffed. It's like it's like fat. It's fat, and it's got the label on it, and it says, I read it, and it's all like, it's a European language. I'm real smart. It's like the shipping thing is in Spanish, and it's from Spain, and I look and it says Vallejo, and I look and I take it inside. I'm like, no freaking way. I go inside. Someone at Vallejo had got my email and then went and sent me like 50 of the gray caps to their paint bottles and 50 of the plastic tips, put it in an envelope, in a nice envelope like that, a bubble mailer, packaged it, and then labeled it, paid for the postage, and sent it to me for free in California. Nicest thing a company. I talk about, I drive a, Lexus and their customer service, whatever. It was that little tiny bit of customer service that didn't cost the person there a single thing, didn't cost the company a single thing, except like, 2 or 3 minutes to pack this up and get my address. Oh no, I put my address. I'm like, hey, if you could send me these, and my email, I was like, send me these. If you can send me these, how much would be this address? I'm happy to PayPal you or Venmo you money or whatever you need to do, So that's how because they really didn't answer my email at all. They just sent it, and it came in the mail, no note, no anything. But I was just like, I was like, yes, that was one of the coolest things any company. And in the grand scheme of things, they probably buy tens of thousands of these things at a time. Maybe, what was it, like 43 cents in plastic, caps and tips that they sent me, and maybe $6 to mail it to me. But Vallejo as a lifelong customer, and here I am in this podcast talking about how great Vallejo is. But I'd used some Vallejo paints over the weekend, and I had forgotten about them because there's so many other ones. But like, yeah, but that one thing, that one customer service thing, won me over for life. And I know they had problems. They had a strike at their factory, and they had their workers complaining they weren't treating them fairly. But I was willing to go, you know what? I know they're gonna. It seems like they've solved the problem now, or took or appeased the people they're making angry. But I was like, even when that happened, like, you know what? I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully they're a good company that's gonna do the best that they can do to right the situation, because they did that one thing, just a bag of plastic junk they didn't need or ever think about. And then they changed the formula like a year and a half later, and those bottles are obsolete now, not even a factor in their business. But oh man, not at the time. And boy, did it make me happy. Okay. Speaking of make me happy, the last thing we're going to talk about today before we get off, I will make video content for this because I promised to do it for them, but not out of obligation, but as a favor. We, if you noticed, last like 6 to 12 months, maybe longer, on especially on YouTube and Instagram, probably TikTok. I'm old. I don't use TikTok that much. The Golden Maple brushes. Golden Maple is a brush company from China. They've been giving brushes and paint influencers and stuff on YouTube and social media to use their brushes and their paints. Been seeing their ads because I have a couple channels. I have a 3D printing channel, and I started a miniature painting podcast. We got contacted by them a few months ago because I had the URL, they had the website and the Instagram where I was posting pictures for stuff for the mini painting podcast before I actually had a podcast going. Cause I was like, I knew I was going to do this like 3 years ago. It's just like, life gets so busy, so just like I missed a couple weeks of podcasting last couple weeks of life. But I'm like, they sent us things and said, hey, we'd like to reach out to you about featuring our products in your podcast, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's funny. Cause I emailed them separately. I'm like, hey, here's our podcast, but also, and our YouTube channel, but also, I own a game store. We'd like to could you send us a sample for some stuff for the game store to try out, and then a sample for some stuff in the podcast to feature in on an episode or whatever, So they did. They sent us some stuff for the game store. They sent it for the game store. They sent us their version of their high end wet palette. And I'll tell you right now, it's freaking good. It's their 2-in-1 dry wet palette. It's 23 centimeters by 70. It's about 5x7. It's about the size of a small army painter one, but it's pretty deluxe. It comes with 4 sponges, 100 pieces of paper, like the paper you put, the parchment paper. And like I said, when you get a wet palette, just go to Target or Walmart and buy a $3 thing of parchment paper. I still think with all the innovations of Exemplar and all the great companies that make, palette paper and red grass, whatever, dude, you really can't beat freaking just Reynolds Wrap or whatever, parchment paper, in my opinion. But they give you 100 sheets of this stuff, just 4 sponges, which is nice. So it's one of those 2-for-1s. It's like the top part, the bottom part is like the wet palette that you put in with the paper. Then the top part, it's kind of like the Exemplar on the inside. It has a space for mixing paint. It has little paint wells. It also comes with a brush holder that's built in there too, which I thought was really cool. And then it's got the bottom part is paint palettes, but the lid can also be paint palettes. The bottom part is like square and triangular, smaller paint palette areas, and then the lid is larger, circular, and rounded rectangular ones and smaller ones. Like really cool. And it's got the red elastic band that goes around it to close it, kind of like the Red Grass games and a couple other ones have. But then what it also, so I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, it's cool. And it's like 35 or 36 or it's like just under $40, right? Which I think is a pretty good deal. But which is all the other ones, dude, every wet palette now is like $40 or above, unless you're getting the Stay Wet palettes you can't go wrong with either. But those used to be like $7 and $9. Now those are like $14. We're trying to buy them wholesale, and the wholesale, it's like they're more expensive wholesale than what they used to be to buy like 5 years ago. And I don't blame the company at all. It's just like inflation and the world being insane and whatever else. But what a bummer that's happening. But what really sets us over the top and apart from others, sure, I just listed all that stuff: the elastic band, the brush holder, the 4 sponges, the double paint holders. I opened the thing up because I was gonna do an unboxing, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do an unboxing. I'll just use this stuff on a video and show how it actually works someday. Open it up, and on the inside of the very bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There is an 11-piece brush set, dude. It's 11. They're wooden handles, and they're plastic. What do you call it? Sorry. It's been a long day. There are synthetic brushes, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 6. Let me hold on. I don't want to mess up the count. 7 regular synthetic brushes, looking from size probably 000 2, 3, 4, whatever that means to you. And then one flat one, like a filbert brush, but like at a slant. And then 3 dry brushes as well. And it's their white goat hair dry brushes. So it's like an 11 brush set comes in as well. So you're getting an extra bonus. And it comes in, the brushes are in their own little tray, and they fit in the dry brush tray that you take those out, and then you replace it, and then you can use the dry brush top and bottom or carry them inside the tray. So they sent us that wet palette. I haven't used it, but like, dude, 4 sponges and those things, it looks good. It'll work good. I'll use it in a video, but like, dude, I have 7 wet palettes at home. I go in between all the best. I have a couple exemplar. I have the Stay Wet palette. I have the Red Grass Games. I have like 7 palettes at home. I go in between. You'll see in my videos, it's not always the same wet palette because I jump back and forth. But they also sent us a set of their like flagship, like $30 something brush set. It's the I want to give the name of it real quick, and you'll see why in a minute. This isn't necessarily, it's an ad, but it's not an ad because you'll hear me. It's the miniature paintbrush set K series. It's their golden maple, like it's their Kolinsky style brushes, and it's a size 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 00, which is great, which is pretty much all you need for painting miniatures. And then this one comes with 3 dry brushes as well. It's the same similar size, like a small, medium, and large one, but they're that nice, stiff but soft, like it says goat hair, and I believe it. It's stiff but soft, like dry brushes. It's better quality than the cheapest dry brushes you're gonna get. Probably not as fancy quality as like the $30 dry brushes, but this set is like $30. And I know because they sent us to test these, and I will test these, but the reason I was cool with Golden Maple when they reached out to us is because I've been seeing these ads for 6 months, and I'm not made of stone. I'm a human being. I'm like, I got to see what these brushes are about. So a few months ago, I went on and I bought the artist set brush. It's a professional Kolinsky, Golden Maple series. And it's a 5/0, probably a 00, a 0, a 1, and a 3, I believe. And I've been using these things for the past couple months. I've been using the bigger one, the 3 and the 1, the bigger ones, 1 and 3 a lot. I got to say, I like the brushes. For $30 for 5 brushes, I mean, it's $6 a brush. It's cheaper than any brush that we can sell in the store. And they're, I mean, I don't know if they're exact Kolinsky Sable, but they're the right color, the right shape. I've seen a couple other YouTube channels, a couple, kind of shilly channels are like, I got these and they're awesome. You should buy these, they make 1,000 YouTube shorts and Instagram shorts trying to sell them. But then a couple of the other more sedate, more like adult style, calmer, podcasts, or not podcasts, but YouTube channels have reviewed them, and it's the same thing. Like, no, these things they're the same color as a Kolinsky brush. They work and they hold a tip pretty well. And I've been banging away. I'm not a great painter, and so I make tons of mistakes, and I'm way too hard on my brushes. I've been using the 1 and the 3, or 1 and the 2, whatever the 2 bigger ones are, the standard ones, for at least the last 3 months on and off my other brushes, and they work just as good as up against, I rotate through all my brushes. I have Winsor & Newtons, I have Raphael's, I have Rosemary and Company's, I have them from every brand. We have Reaper. I have some of the Reaper ones. The Reaper ones are pretty cheap. I like those. Not synthetic, but the sable hair, whatever hair they have. So probably like 8 or 10 brands of brushes with them mixed in, and I paint a lot because I'm always jerking around. I got usually 8 to 14 separate unfinished D&D fantasy and Warhammer Grimdark theme models on my desk at any given time or more. And yeah, these things have held up, and I like them a lot. So that's why I was like, yeah, we'll give you a shout out on the podcast. And because we did that, they asked us, oh, you make a video. Here's the thing, like I do live tabletop events. I run a game store. But before that, I ran live. I worked in advertising as a copywriter and an assistant creative director. And I also ran live events for many years, from stand-up comedy shows to other types of live stuff and video game things and whatever. So I don't like, at this point, like I said, the same thing, the reason I didn't want to do video is like, I don't want to do like a YouTube thing where like a lot of times you'll get reached out by a company. They're like, oh, we'll give you like, it's usually at low end $100 to $500 to do like a video, or sometimes more. You can negotiate more. They'll give you product and they'll give you video, but they want to make a good video. But once if it's $100, usually they don't give a crap what you make. And if you make a bad video, they'll just kind of ignore you. But if it's $500 or more, which is like adult money to like actually spend a week doing something, not a week, but like, three adult days or 2 adult days, something you're going to do anyway, but make it good and feature a product. Once you start taking the money, you're getting notes. You got to send it to them before it goes live. You got to do this and that. They're going to ask you to change stuff. So they were really nice. I'm like, I'll make some content. I'm not promising anything. So they sent us stuff. So they sent us the paintbrush kit, the K series paintbrush kit, and the and the wet palette thing for the store. And we're going to get a wholesale account set up with them so we can sell the stuff through for our store in person and in our classes and in online on our website. And we'll have links on our YouTube and stuff. But in the meantime, we're doing a promotion with them, and you'll probably hear at the beginning and end of our podcast. I don't like to put commercials in the podcast body, although all the Spotify and other companies do creepily do that, and it really pisses me off because you get like pennies on the penny on the dollar for that, and it's Spotify is such an unscrupulous. All the major tech companies are so unscrupulous, but God, Spotify is really up there, the scumbags. But long story short, they gave us a promo code. So the website to buy directly from Golden Maple, their website is artgoldenmaple.com. So it's the word artgoldenmaple.com. I guess because maybe Golden Maple makes maybe his weapons or swords goldenmaple.com as well. I'm not sure. Plug in some words, see what happens. Sex toys. But artgoldenmaple.com. If you use a promo code to buy anything in the store there, you will get 10% off your purchase. This is when this podcast goes up. I'm sure the promo code's good for at least the next 3 to 6 months. Past then, plug it in, see what happens. But the caveat, the one thing is it must be all in caps, because I tried it earlier tonight and I just typed in like lowercase or not all caps and it didn't work. And I started writing email to Golden Maple going, hey, is our promo code live? Because I'm going to record an episode tonight. I want to mention it. And it didn't work. It does work. But the promo code is mini paint, all caps. The word mini and paint, all one word. Mini paint, all caps, will get you 10% off at artgoldenmaple.com. So we'll have links in the show description on the YouTube and on the website, all that stuff. But I thought that was a cool thing to do. So I do appreciate, I forget the young lady's name. I want to say it's Betsy. I don't know the name. And a lot of times the salespeople from other overseas will pick an Anglophile sounding name as a different name than them. But I think it was Betsy that contacted us and reached out and so set us up. So thank you very much for those. On the other side of that, the thing they sent us for the show, or the YouTube channel they want us to review, is something, like I said, I like the K series paintbrushes, and I like the blue handle ones that you've been seeing me if you see our video content on our website. I really like the brushes and the products they make. Okay, I'm not knocking it, but they sent us this new product to test out that they want us to make a video of, and I'm telling you right now, I will make a video, but it'll be very short. And I might do one of those things where I include it in a video talking about something else. It is basically, it's called the Golden Maple replaceable paintbrush set. It is adorable, but it's not my favorite thing. It's basically this wooden handle with this ergonomic grip that the top pulls off, and it has interchangeable, basically the tops of a paintbrush. It has a 00, a 000, a 0, and a 1, and you take the top off, and in the middle, you put the paintbrush thing, and you put the top back down over it with like a spring and a magnet. So you can have one paintbrush handle for 5 different paintbrush tops. But again, it doesn't say it on here, and I don't think they are. I looked. They're not even like golden. They're not even like the Kolinsky or Sable brushes. I don't think they're synthetic, or maybe they're like faux real. I haven't even used them, but like just messing around with it for like 5 minutes. It's the brush. I looked it up on the site, so I'm not trying to crap on it, but it's like the MSRP is $59. It's on sale on their website right now for like $44, even with our discount we could get. It's like a $40 thing. The thing that everybody likes about having 4 paintbrushes is having 4 paintbrushes. Because if I'm using a number 3, I want to jump down to a number 2 or a number 1 or a number 0. Or if I'm using a number 2, but then I finish a model, but I'm working on a model that's further along. It's like 85% done, and I'm using a sable hairbrush to do some more finer details and highlighting, edging and stuff like that. But then I'm also painting another model, and I want to use like a synthetic. So I want to do paint with like a number 1 or 2 sable. But then maybe I want to jump to a 2 or 3 synthetic, but then I want to do some eyes. So I'm doing a 00 for this, but then I'm doing edge highlight for this. I'm going to do a number 1 again. The point of having 4 brushes is having 4 brushes. There's no way to take these brush tips off and it's not a thing. And the ergonomical wood handle, it's cute, but it's the same quality and wood handle, like not the same, but similar as their the wooden brush, the 11 wooden brushes that come free in the set. I'd rather just spend whatever it is to get those 11 brushes, and 3 of them are dry brushes. An 8-piece set of these brushes with the handles would probably cost half what the synthetic replaceable brush thing was. And the brush handle is nothing, because when you throw a brush away, you throw the handle away. People keep old brushes, but they don't collect old brush handles with the brush is completely dead. But that being said, I'll include that on a channel at some point. I'll probably poke a little bit of fun at it, but regardless of a promo code or not, or if we work with them more, I am going to order stuff for the store eventually and have it in the store probably by this, later this spring, if not by the summer. The Golden Maple, they're putting money into the hobby. They're putting money in people's pockets. They're hiring, we're probably in the lowest end because I told them, hey, I have a store. So we're not really trying to be an influencer or a YouTuber per se, where you have a kind of more skin in the game than that, but in a different type of skin, because we'd like to actually carry your products if it made sense for us business wise. But no, they're paying a bunch of influencers, a bunch of painters, and a bunch of stuff to like make, not influencers, but like hobby, like YouTubers and stuff like that, like hobby paint people. So, and they're giving out free product. So they're putting something into the hobby, which is more than like the nameless, faceless, like misspelled companies on Facebook, or not, well, the Facebook ads, but then you see on Instagram, Facebook, or on Amazon or Temu or AliExpress, and you're like, well, they're just like a knockoff company, dude. Okay, so like they look like they're positioning themselves to become like the Chinese, West Coast, the Chinese pipeline in North America green stuff world, to be honest, because they have a small paint line. I don't think I haven't tried it. It might be good, but like the brushes are decent, if not good. But they're very well, they're affordable. They're well priced. The paint palette is as good as any other $40 paint palette I've ever seen or bought. Maybe a little bit better because it comes with extra freebies. And then I can tell already just from their website, they're going to make more and more cool stuff. They're making miniature handles and magnetic, sub-assembly stuff and plinths and things like that, and you can tell they're just going to, in hobby handles, like they're just going to make more. Are they innovating? Are they bleeding edge? No, but they're making stuff. All the stuff that was mid-range stuff that maybe like just a rung below, like Raphael or Kalinsky, like or Winsor & Newton, like stuff you'd buy that's kind of middle price, is now the price that Raphael and Winsor & Newton used to be, and Winsor & Newton is now astronomically priced, and the QC, in my opinion, has dropped down over the last few years. So they're filling a void. They're not dirt cheap, but they're cheaper than the mid-level stuff, but they're as good if the mid-level to the high-level stuff, in my opinion. So good on them, and if you're like, well, they're a Chinese company, dude, everything's made in China that's good. iPhones, Warhammer, it's got Warhammer, I guess is made in the UK, but like I'm not going to be prejudiced against countries, because like I said, we can go to, if whatever country you're in right now, your country and my country can fight wars with whoever they want. But at the end of the day, like everyone in most countries is sitting here going, oh my God, my country is run by a bunch of D-holes. I hate them so much. I just want to go to work and be with my family and do my hobby or my life or my sport or whatever I like to do. So I try and look at it holistically that way, but I don't feel like it's, the boxes they come in are very nice and very, very well put together and very elegant for a mid to lower price product, but the quality's good, dude. I bought, like I said, I wouldn't have even mentioned this on the show if I hadn't spent $30 on a set of 5 brushes, 3 or 4 months ago, and have been using them and like them a lot. I was going to mention them. I bought those brushes 3 or 4 months ago because I knew I was going to start doing the podcast. I was going to do an episode on those brushes before Golden Maple reached out to me. So again, our website is artgoldenmaple.com. Our promo code is all caps mini paint to get 10% off or whatever. I think it's 10% out now. I don't know how long, but if you're listening to this in 2 or 3 years in the future, possibly it works. But I will probably start putting little quick bumper commercials for Golden Maple or Squarespace or whatever on the beginning and end of the podcast. If you don't like those, or if Spotify puts them in, you don't like, because Spotify does that too, which I think kind of sucks. Like I said, just fast forward, just skip 30 or 60 seconds or whatever to do and just get into the meat of the show. But yeah, that's what we covered. We covered my pettiness from snow driving to other things. We talked about making more video. We talked about the excitement for Adepticon coming up, using wash medium, which is awesome. The mini sponge for base coating, awesome. Vallejo, big shout out to them in my opinion. And then, sorry, I have the hiccups at the end of the show. It's so weird. And then Golden Maple Brushes product. So we'll have links to them in the future probably, but we'll all probably feature on the website. If you want to check out our podcast on Instagram, please be sure to follow us. The best way to communicate with us is to send us a DM on Instagram. It's at Mini Painting Podcast on Instagram, miniaturepaintingpodcast.com. You can also reach us. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook. I don't use that. We post on Facebook, linked from our Instagram, but don't bother. Don't send us Facebook messages, as I said before many a time, because Facebook is just a hellscape of your worst uncle in person you went to high school, and then tons of spam and phishing scams. But yeah, thank you so much. If you like the show, and if you don't, go either on iTunes, Amazon Music, or Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review and a nice comment if you can. I'd appreciate it. And recommend us to a friend. And with that being said, please, good luck in all your painting endeavors. May you knock some may you whittle down that pile of shame that you have growing, in your closet or floor or bathroom cupboard or wherever you keep your stuff hidden from your mom or your little brother or your cat and dog or whoever might eat it or destroy it. Thank you so much for listening. I have been Dan. I'll continue to be Dan next time that you hear me. And from the Miniature Painting Podcast, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.